Kali Linux is a special build of the Debian operating system, which is pre-configured with a large number of testing tools covering web, infrastructure and wireless testing requirements. It's the platform of choice for many pen testers. Kali can be installed as the only system on a hardware platform, and this is known as bare metal installation. It can be loaded as a second bootable image on a platform with an existing operating system, known as a dual boot installation. It can also be run as a virtual machine on VMware or VirtualBox. We'll be using this approach and loading it into the VirtualBox environment we've set up. Kali Linux can be loaded as what's known as an appliance, a pre-built form of virtual machine, which makes it very easy to get up and running with VirtualBox. Offensive Security maintains a number of different Kali Linux downloads. Here we can see the latest 32 and 64-bit Kali files for VirtualBox, which are available for download. We'll be using the 64-bit version, which is a 3 GB 7Z compressed file, so it takes a while to download. We can short-circuit that delay, as I've already installed and unpacked the archive into my virtual machines folder. So let's go install it. To import the image, I'll click on the machine, Add, or the Add icon in the right hand panel, and navigate to the Kali Linux VBox file and open it. This is immediately imported as a virtual machine. On the right we have the appliance settings. Let's change the name of the machine to just Kali. OK. Note at the bottom of the right hand properties panel we have the credentials, which are Kali. There's one thing we need to do before we start this appliance, and that's to set the network for the virtual machine to NAT network. We go to network and change it from NAT to NAT network. OK. On the virtual machine entry we can see a menu icon to the right. If we click on it, we can see it has 5 options. Details, as we can see in the right hand panel. Snapshots, which will show us the snapshots we've taken and provide a snapshot menu. Logs, which shows a variety of detailed logging, which we won't be looking at in this course. We've also got a VM activity dashboard, which will be populated once the VM starts up, and a tool to exchange files between the host and the VM. Let's go back to Details and start the Kali system. We can power up Kali in a number of ways. By selecting Start from the Machine menu, by pressing the Start icon above the Details, or just by double-clicking Kali. As Kali starts up, we get an information pane at the right-hand side, which provides a preview and basic information. We can press the information icon to close it. We've now got our Kali system loaded and ready to go. We'll maximize our Kali screen and enter our credentials, which are Kali. And here we have our main Kali home screen. We're in a small display, so let's select the VM option, View Virtual Screen 1, and select our preferred resolution, say 1600 by 900. Otherwise we can leave it to VirtualBox and select View Auto Resize Guest Display. OK, we now have our Kali system. While early penetration testing involved manually creating malicious packet streams and sending them at targets, over time this process became automated. Immunity created its own Canvas framework, and Core Security Technologies created Core Impact. Another framework, Metasploit, was created by H.D. Moore in 2003 using Perl, and in 2007 was completely rewritten in Ruby. It was purchased in 2009 by Rapid7 and has been enhanced with Express and Pro versions. It's now become the de facto exploit delivery framework, and with its inclusion as part of Kali Linux, is a popular tool for penetration testing. The Metasploit developers also released an intentionally vulnerable configuration of the Linux operating system called Metasploitable, which is designed to be a safe target for teaching and learning pen testing using Metasploit. There are two versions of Metasploitable available, versions 2 and 3. We're interested just in Metasploitable 2, which we'll set up as the main target in our penetration testing lab. This can be downloaded from the SourceForge archives as a zip file containing raw virtual image files. We can set this up by creating a virtual machine and loading the Metasploitable virtual disk into it. The Metasploitable image is a zip file which I've already downloaded and extracted. The file that we'll use from this archive is the metasploitable.vmdk. The first thing we need to do is create a virtual machine by selecting the new icon, and we'll name it Metasploitable. We'll set the type to Linux and other Linux 32-bit. We won't select an ISO image. We'll select Next, and we'll leave the memory as default. Select Next, and at the hard disk screen we'll select Existing Virtual Hard Disk File, and we'll navigate to our virtual machine Metasploitable 2 folder and select metasploitable.vmdk. Select Next and Finish. Now the virtual machine's been created, we'll set it to use NAT network and we'll start it. We can select the virtual machine and we can log in with the username msfadmin and the password msfadmin. And here we have the command prompt. Before we leave, let's check the IP address. And we can see it's 10.0.2.32. There's one change we have to make to correct a mistake in the server. We'll navigate to cd/var/www-utilidae and sudo nano, and we'll edit config.inc. And we need to change the database name to OWASP10. And Ctrl-O to save that, and Ctrl-X to exit, and sudo reboot. And we'll reboot the server. Once the server's rebooted, we can access Metasploitable from Firefox by navigating to 10.0.2.32. And we're in Metasploitable 2. Let's just select Utilidae and we'll reset DB. OK. And we've now set up our database, ready for when we want to use it. Another way to create a virtual machine is by installing its ISO image, as we would on a bare metal installation. We'll install an operating system called Kali Purple as our Linux application system. The ISO image is available from the Kali site shown here. Kali Purple is the cyber defense variant of the Kali operating system, and it's a Debian-based Linux distribution. We'll create a new Linux virtual machine as we did for Metasploitable by pressing the new icon, and we'll call it Apo1. We can now select the ISO image and the installer Purple, and we'll select Next. We'll keep the default memory and CPU settings and again select Next, and we'll keep the default hard disk setting and press Next, and we'll finish. We'll change our network to NAT network, and we can start the VM. And Kali Purple starts up in its own virtual machine. OK, we'll press Enter to start the installation. OK, we'll select English, I'll select New Zealand, and we'll use American English keyboard. OK, and we'll set the host name to Apo1. We'll skip the domain name, and we'll call the new user, user, and the username for the account will stick to Kali, and Kali is the password. I'll confirm the time zone. Okay, and I'll take the defaults for the partition. I'll use the entire disk. We only have one hard disk. We'll use all files in one partition, and we'll write that to disk. And yes, we want to write the changes to disk. Okay, so we're installing the base system, and that'll take a little while. We'll come back to continue the installation when that finishes. Okay, we now get to select what software we put on the system. We're just going to load the Kali Purple system and not the tools, so we'll unclick the lower settings and we'll continue the installation. Okay, we'll confirm the Grub bootloader to allow us to boot and put it on the hard disk, and then we'll wait for the installation to finish. VirtualBox will remove the ISO image from the CD drive for us, so all we need to do is confirm the reboot. Okay, let's log in with Kali. And we've successfully loaded a Linux system from its ISO image into VirtualBox. Let's open a terminal window to get at the command line and check our address. And we're 10.0.2.33. We've now got a system we can use to run our Linux applications.